The LATUA family thought they found their perfect home. But what they didn't expect was the house had already chosen them. The LATUA family, consisting of John, his wife Mary, and their 2 children Emily and Jake, had been searching for a new home for months. They wanted a place where they could start fresh, a place that had character and history. When they stumbled upon the old Victorian house on the outskirts of town, they were immediately captivated by its charm. The house was large, with intricate woodwork, stained glass windows, and a wraparound porch that seemed to beckon them inside. It was everything they had ever dreamed of. But staying was a choice they would soon regret. From the moment they moved in, strange things began to happen. At first it was small, almost unnoticeable occurrences. Doors would creak open on their own, lights would flicker, and there was an ever-present feeling of being watched. John dismissed these events as the quirks of an old house, but Mary couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As the days turned into weeks, the occurrences became more frequent and more disturbing. Emily would wake up in the middle of the night, screaming that she had seen a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed. Jake, who had always been a happy and energetic child, became withdrawn and sullen. He would often be found staring out the window, muttering to himself. The LATUA family tried to ignore the growing sense of dread that seemed to permeate every corner of their new home. They told themselves that it was just their imagination, that there was a logical explanation for everything. But deep down, they knew that something was very wrong. One night, as John was working late in his study, he heard a faint whispering coming from the hallway. He got up to investigate, but found nothing. As he turned to go back to his work, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He spun around, but there was no one there. Shaken, he decided to call it a night and went to bed. The next morning, Mary found a series of strange symbols drawn on the walls of the living room. They looked like they had been scratched into the paint with a sharp object. She showed them to John, who couldn't explain how they had gotten there. They decided to paint over the symbols and try to forget about it. But the house had other plans. The symbols reappeared the next day, more numerous and more intricate than before. The LATUA family was at their wits' end. They didn't know what to do or who to turn to. They felt trapped in their own home, unable to escape the growing sense of terror that surrounded them. After a year of terror, the LATUA family couldn't take it anymore. The fear was too much. They decided to leave in hopes of reclaiming their lives. They packed up their belongings and left the house, hoping that the nightmares would end once they were gone. But as they drove away, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They thought leaving the house would end their nightmares, but some fears never leave you. Even after they moved into a new home, the LATUA family couldn't escape the memories of their time in the haunted house. Emily continued to have nightmares about the shadowy figure, and Jake's behavior remained erratic. John and Mary tried to reassure their children that they were safe, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them. They sought the help of a paranormal investigator, hoping to find some answers. The investigator, a man named Dr. Richard Hayes, had spent years studying haunted houses and the supernatural. He agreed to visit the LATUA family's new home and conduct an investigation. Dr. Hayes spent several days with the LATUA family, interviewing them and conducting various tests. He used specialized equipment to measure electromagnetic fields and temperature fluctuations, and he set up cameras to capture any unusual activity. After reviewing the evidence, Dr. Hayes concluded that the LATUA family had indeed experienced something paranormal. He explained that the house they had lived in was a focal point for supernatural energy, and that some of that energy had attached itself to the family. He recommended a series of cleansing rituals to help rid them of the lingering presence. The LATUA family followed Dr. Hayes' advice, performing the rituals and taking steps to protect their new home. Slowly, the nightmares began to fade, and Jake's behavior started to improve. But the experience had left a lasting mark on the family. They would never forget the year of terror they had endured. The haunted house still stands on the outskirts of town, a silent witness to the horrors that took place within its walls. It remains empty, a place of fear and mystery. Some say that the spirits of those who once lived there still roam the halls, waiting for their next unsuspecting victim. The LATUA family learned the hard way that some houses are not just homes, but gateways to the unknown. They now live their lives with a newfound respect for the supernatural, always mindful of the thin veil that separates our world from the next. And so the story of the haunted house serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the things we fear the most are the things we cannot see. The LATUA family will always remember the year they spent in that house and the terror that came with it. They thought they had found their perfect home, but what they didn't realize was that the house had found them. And once it had them, it was not willing to let go. The end.